Welcome to part 16 of the Sonic Adventure 2 Let's Play, and we're going to be finishing off the Dark Side story, and, well, let's just say we're going to get into an extra story. Alright, it's the last story. I can't believe I spoiled that myself. Oh, I should have waited. Oh well, pretend like it never happened. Okay, so the fight with Sonic here. It's pretty much the same fight, although I did forget to mention, occasionally they'll use like a super attack. Like, I think you can avoid both with the somersault. Well, and the only cosmetic differences really is Shadow will shoot the Chaos Spear and Sonic will perform Sonic Wind, which is, self-explanatory. I don't think I never gotten hit by those meteors. Well, I got lucky there. Okay, now. Alright. Yeah, I got pretty much nothing to say here, and I'm keeping it down because, my folks are still kind of sleeping, and I don't want to wake them up. Okay, just one more hit. So, pretty intense stuff, huh? With the story. In Shadow's story, the story with Shadow, it's at least interesting. Until Shadow the Hedgehog. I keep mentioning that game. Okay, so now we have the ending. Without hesitating, this is the canon ending, because as well, you'll see in the final story, which is in the same video. Oh, I know, a little convenient, and I do try to get into Canon's Core, although I failed miserably, so we're going to be seeing Canon's Core in the next part. Sorry, guys. Okay, so now we have Throw It All Away by Everett Bradley. I'm starting to think, I think that there's two different versions of this song. The one I always hear on YouTube, it just sounds different from the one that I'm hearing now. Then I think Everett Bradley's voice is a little better than, here, as far as what versions go. Okay, so that was pretty much the Dark Side story. Overall, it was enjoyable, just like the Hero Side story. It definitely goes in more depth on who Shadow really is, and it even shows how great of a villain an Eggman is. Hell, I'll even say that he's one of the best villains in video game history. I think he's rarely made a dumb mistake. And honestly, yeah, he always remained on the common sense side. So how did he go from that? So why does later on does he decide, I'll do that, I don't care. Seriously, man. There will be a certain robot in Shadow the Hedgehog where one of the worst machines he's ever made. Oh yeah. Oh man. But aside from a couple, weird plot elements, and the Dark Side story, I actually find it a little better than the Hero Side, only because it actually goes more in depth, but not so in depth where it goes over the deep end. And then, well, I'd rather have Sonic games. When it comes to story, I'm fine with stories like, you know, generate colors, generations to an extent in Lost World. Well, because I mean, I don't mind. I'm okay with Sonic being in a mature story, but you know, it just can't. It just doesn't work with Dark. And I mean, yes, this is the point where Sonic games start to get on the dark side of storytelling, but it doesn't go on the deep end, you know? And as I'm saying this, and as I'm saying that, we have this. Yep. This implies that we have one more story to do. Hmm. Okay, so, oh, yep. Just like Sonic Adventure 1, there is a final story to do. Well, we're not going to get into too much of the final level. Well, so, yeah, this part is pretty much cutscene heavy. Probably the part where, this is probably the part where it's going to have the most cutscene, at least in this playthrough. But yeah, I told you so. The ending of the Dark Side story is canon. Here, the game just assumes that you've done the game just assumes about the Dark Side story. It pretty much retcons what Sonic had to do. But hey, what do you know? Oh, it's I can't I can't I can't even think of a kind of plot element. I guess Sonic destroying the Eclipse Cannon have made an could have been a prerequisite to trigger, or you know, it could have been a prerequisite. Sonic may have accidentally done a prerequisite just to trigger the arc falling to the earth, or because he did destroy the thing. So where would all the energy go? Ugh. I'm thinking too much. So now we have the arc plummeting, a dinky little arc. Well, then again, there is an explanation. I mean, it's gotta be like the nuclear weapons. It's gotta be all the nuclear material, well, that's actually on the arc. Because if it weren't for that, then there's no way that dinky little space station can destroy the whole Earth. But yes, this video, oh, it's like a, death sentence, of course, yeah, that's appropriate for a Sonic game, a freaking firing squad. That was pretty much Gerald's final message. Final message, only just to tell him his revenge. And if that wasn't enough, well, you're gonna see why it goes on the dark side. It would, yeah, you know what? I find it interesting. And when it comes to a dark story, it's not centered around. It's not completely centered around Shadow. I mean, it is, because Maria did get shot, but right now here, this is just further proof that Gerald has a darker story going than Shadow. I know, ironic, isn't it? Mm. Just be happy I have the subtitles on, then you'll completely understand. Now I have a question. What accident? I'm pretty sure... What, did the military think... Well, you know what, I'm thinking about that whole Maria's Revenge plot. Where the guy goes in depth on how, you know, gun raided the Ark with Maria. And don't tell me, and to those that know about Maria's Revenge, don't tell me that they want to put a sick, twisted plot element in a children's game. Considering how standards are today, and with Sonic games go, not to mention, and well, a lot of weird stuff happens in game development. Believe me, I know. But considering with the Maria's Revenge plot, well, creepypasta, and how the guy was going in depth. In reality, when you think about it, it actually kind of makes sense. Yeah, it's still dark, but again, when you boil it down, it makes sense. Hence, I mean, so I'm just going to assume that the whole accident thing was just a cover-up, but for what reason, I don't know. But in terms of what's happening on screen, yep, the Master Emerald has lost it in proportions. I'm going to assume Knuckles just says screw it and put it in and decide just to carry around a pocket-sized emerald. Because as the last time we saw the Master Emerald, it was huge. So that is just inconsistent much? Yeah, it's rather inconsistent. Okay, so like I mentioned before, we are now on Canon's Core. I'm not gonna actually go through it. So this is pretty much a sneak preview of what's gonna happen. And I'm almost done, guys. We are almost done with this game. With the next Sonic game. By the way, the next Sonic game I wanna address right now is the next Sonic game that I'm gonna be doing is Sonic Heroes, which I honestly don't know how to approach that one. Well, actually, never mind. I do. It's just Heroes is probably gonna put my editing skills to my editing. It's probably gonna put my editing capabilities to the ultimate test. However, that's not gonna be until after another game. Hey man, yes, I'm gonna be doing another SpongeBob game. Trust me, that's not what I play. Yeah, I intended a marathon on the from Battle for Bikini Bottom to the movie game. But not about. I want to do it from Battle for Bikini Bottom to Creature from the Krusty Krab as reviews, but I'm not exactly Oh, well, we're actually at the end of the part. Okay, so the next part, we are going to be tackling the rest of Canon's Core.